Lovely. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for coming and for joining us at this extra meeting of the Combined Authority and coming a little bit earlier than usual. And even though we've got a short agenda, we've a lot to get through. So let's crack on. Ian, any apologies?
Yes, we've received apologies from Councillor Jeffrey, Councillor Scullion and Mark Roberts. Councillors Morley, Councillor Swift and Mandy Ridiada attending as their substitutes. We've also had apologies from Councillor Waller and Councillor Aspden. I believe we are expecting Councillor Firth as well, but he's not here yet, so he may...
Okay, so he's on his way, lovely. Okie dokie, so just want to say a few words about Calderdale Council and the change in leadership roles affecting the CA membership. At Calderdale's annual meeting, May the 17th, Wednesday 17th of May, it was agreed that Councillor Jane Scullion will become leader of the council with Councillor Tim Swift as deputy leader. And consequently, Calderdale have provided formal notification of a change of their CA membership and substitute, and Councillor Scullion will become the CA member. Councillor Swift will become substitute effective from today. Can I just say, Councillor Swift is an incredible servant of Calderdale and West Yorkshire and played a key role in securing devolution that we have today. Can I put on my record my thanks for your service and for your wise advice over the last few years as Mayor, and excellent leadership on climate in the region as well. Fantastic leadership. Thank you so much for all you've done. Councillor Scullion is familiar to all of us at the Combined Authority, having played an active role as Deputy Leader of Calderdale, and I'm sure she will continue her excellent work as leader. And can I also say how delighted I am we've another fabulous female leader join us in our region. Can this change be recorded in the minutes, please? Thank you. Okie doke. Declarations of interest? None. Thank you. Moving on. Item 3. Officers have identified Appendix 3 to Agenda Item 6 contains exempt information. If we agree, the press and public will be excluded from this item when we come to it. We're all in agreement. Thank you. Brilliant. And given that, I would propose that discussion of item 6 is moved to the end of the agenda, just to help with our choreography. Okie doke. Item 4, minutes of the meeting of the Combined Authority, 16th of March 2023. Turning to those minutes, any comments or questions? No, lovely, thank you. And we can confirm these are an accurate record. Okie doke, so the meat of the meeting for decision, bus service improvement plan, programme update. This first item for discussion is an update on the delivery of the West Yorkshire Bus Service Improvement Plan. We all know it's an important item. We know local bus system is in need of immediate support to transform it to the standard of service local people expect and deserve, as well as respond to challenges facing it, like further service cuts by commercial operators, which are expected over the summer. I understand since the report was published, we've received further information from DfT about bus recovery grant and funding to support the protection of the network. So on this point, if I can hand over to Councillor Hinchcliffe as Chair of the Transport Committee, and then over to Dave Haskins, Interim Director and SRO for BSIP, to provide an update. Councillor Hinchcliffe.
Thank you, Mayor. And yes, as you rightly say, this is much needed revenue to support improved bus services in the region. We've got the Mayor's Fares subsidy, which actually was brought in before the national programme, £36.9 million that has been budgeted to cost. And then obviously new and improved services, and that is so needed across the network at the moment. We all know that with the government cuts that we've had before, services have suffered, and we're really wanting to see improvement, not detriment to services. So there's £38.9 million to spend on bus services. This paper updates on the latest, which is the enhanced bus services in across 3 routes, which have been announced this morning, which is just about 4.2 million. So there's still quite a lot to go out there. Obviously, we know across the region we need to see improvement, and obviously Wakefield is one of those places where we're particularly keen to see additional bus services when they've had so many cuts recently. But it is an issue across the region about cutbacks. And as you say, there was an announcement earlier this week. We have been very hand-to-mouth with information coming out of DfT on buses, and makes planning very, very difficult. So we're still working through this latest information, but the officer, Dave Haskins, will be able to provide the meeting with more information on that. Thank you.
Thank you for that overview. And over to you, Dave.
Okay, I'll talk very briefly about the announcement that came out from DFT last week. As Councillor Hinchcliffe said, that announcement came out just as we were going to publish the papers, so unfortunately we weren't able to provide the detail in those papers. We have briefed the members and attendees of the meeting on with a briefing paper from this already, but I'll go through the key points from that. Mark Harper made the announcement last week. In effect, at the broader picture, is the government to continue to provide 200 million to continue capping single bus fares at £2 outside London to the end of October, and then at £2.50 until the end of November 24. For us, our Mayor's Fares initiative introduced is funded through BSIP programme, and the government announcement on fares does not necessarily apply to West Yorkshire because separate decisions can be made around fares, timescales and costs. But we will be working through the ramifications of that announcement in respect to that over the coming period, and I'll come back to that. The other element is that £160 million will be provided to local transport authorities to improve fare service and infrastructure, with 140 to go direct to operators to help protect essential services, and that's spread over this financial year and the next financial year. So prior to the announcement, bus operators in West Yorkshire, as you said, are poised to reduce some services commensurate with the loss of funding they were anticipating before this announcement. So they've welcomed we understand they've welcomed the certainty that the funding comes from the announcement, but have advised that it's still less than they're receiving, and they still may need to reduce some costs and services. Again, we're awaiting some confirmation from the operators around what that means. In broad terms, what we're intending to do here is the approvals of the projects that Councillor Hinchcliffe was just mentioning will go forward for approval at Transport Committee tomorrow. And the intention is to work with Transport Committee members over the coming month to work through the ramifications of what these funding announcements mean, in particular in the context of the service enhancements that we're looking to bring in across West Yorkshire to ensure that they are focused in the right areas, and the context around the tranches of those as well, which is important. We need to get some immediate money in and do something really quickly, but we need to plan quite strategically around what happens next in the context of where the operators may or may not respond.
Thank you so much, and it just shows that hand-to-mouth nature of funding is definitely not the most efficient way to do it. Opening up to any comments? Yes, Councillor Morley.
Thank you, Susan, for that acknowledgement of Wakefield and how dire we are in Wakefield. You are very much aware, and so are you, Tracy. So any interventions, any help that we can get to get just to them buses that we've lost over the last 2 to 3 years would be immensely helpful, just to make sure that we get our fair share, because it is dire out there. It's one of our most top complaints that we're getting on as a council, as local members. So, yeah, any sort of meetings, anything just to help us, it'll be muchly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Lots of support for you in Wakefield regarding the bus cuts. Any further comments? Yes, Councillor Paulson.
Yeah, thank you. Obviously, welcome the report and welcome the DFT announcement on further funding and support coming in from the government.
Absolutely.
Just on the patronage figures, it says in the report 85% we're at the moment. Is that holding level, or are they sort of still creeping up bit by bit, or where are we on that? And obviously pre-COVID as a comparison.
My understanding, and I'll defer to Dave Pearson if need, my understanding is it is holding level. It's got up to that figure. It has been creeping up gradually, but it seems to have stabilised around 85% at the moment.
Any further comments? No. Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Chair, and apologies for my lateness. Unfortunately, that's our transport system for you. There, point 2.21 that says the data suggests a growth in patronage in the final quarter of 2022, as well as changes to commuting patterns. The problem I have with the particular report, although we welcome it, is there is very little data to actually compare or contrast how much of a growth that actually is, as Councillor Paulson has said. Is there any chance that in this meeting we can actually provide the quantity and actually the figures compared to the previous quarter, or actually potentially where that should be, given that what are the trends for the year to be projected, because it's just making a general assumption rather than backing it up with any evidence.
Yes, Dave Haskins.
Yeah, we're not able to provide that information immediately. We are undertaking work at the moment to understand more detail around how that is all playing out. It's fair to say, I think DFT published something at the end of last week which A few people got the hopes up that there would be a bit more analysis in F&DFT around the impacts, but it's not a lot of detail in there as things stand. I don't think we're in any different place to the rest of the country in terms of the analysis that's undertaken. It's a complex area to look at and will take a little bit of time, but we are working on that over the summer.
Councillor Hinchcliffe.
Yeah, well, we are dependent on the bus operators, are we not, as well, for providing their data, and it's commercially sensitive data, so it's not all within the gift of the combined authority.
Councillor Firth.
Thank you very much indeed, Chair. At that point, I think that making general assumptions, we've got to be very careful. And I think certainly it would be helpful when we're making such a significant decision, to say the least. I think when it comes to looking at more generally, look at the figures that are provided in the rest of the report about the BSIP, which I appreciate. I missed some of the discussion. There is a discussion there about taking down or drawing down 6.2 million from the BSIP for new and improved services, including 4.2 million for the enhanced bus services, and 3 million of that is put out there for in terms of dealing with particular services that we don't actually know which services we need to enhance or improve. Can I ask, will that be enough, or how has that figure been reached in terms of working it out?
Dave?
That 3 million is the first tranche of money that can be drawn down from BSIP, and we're looking to draw down further tranches later in the year as well. The figure has been arrived, well, the global figure has been arrived from the amount of money that we were awarded through BSIP overall for the investment in bus services to £31 million. The speed at which we can move does depend. We are in the hands of what the response of the bus operators are. We can't move too quickly. We need to work. Well, we need to move quickly, but we are confident that within June we will get to that point of understanding what the first tranche is going to be, working closely with the districts and working closely with members.
Thank you. Councillor Pando.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I think Councillor Firth makes a valid point, but when I talk to my residents, everybody I speak to want better buses. So I understand what you're saying regarding more data. I think, from my point of view, I think the data says one thing, but the qualitative, the deep feelings within communities is that we want buses that are connected a lot better than they are at the moment. We talk about trains, but actually buses are probably the arteries and the veins of communities, and you know, vulnerable people, young people, you know, connecting from one school to a college and everything else. And that's something that we, as elected members, have got a better grasp of. And we need more money, which is a given. But I think we welcome this money that's coming forward. But I think we need to try and do everything we can to lobby government to make sure that, you know, we collectively, as a combined authority, do the best for our residents. And that's where I'm coming from, Mayor. Thanks.
And we are the voice of the passenger, aren't we?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Moving on, are we happy to note the progress being made in delivering the bus service improvement and decisions made due to be made by Transport Committee tomorrow to respond to the immediate challenges facing the bus industry? Good stuff. Thank you all so much. Righto, let's move on to West Yorkshire Plan. Item 7, really pleased to see this is here today for our endorsement. This plan tells the story of West Yorkshire, bringing together a shared vision, narrative and ambitions for the region, setting the trajectory for the long term up to 2040. It's aspirational and ambitious and brings to life who we are, what we want to do and how our heritage is supporting our future. It's been co-produced with partners, most notably local authorities, but there's also been wide engagement from Combined Authority Committee members, business groups, universities, and other local and regional stakeholders. Central to this plan are our 5 missions that are aspirational and represent an ultimate ambition for West Yorkshire. Our State of the Region reporting will continue to provide the monitoring framework underpinning the West Yorkshire Plan targets and wider policies and strategies of the Combined Authority. This plan will strengthen our existing policy framework and sit at the top of a suite of policies and strategies aligned to areas of delivery and include the local transport plan, the economic strategy, which is in development, and the police and crime plan. We're planning to launch the plan officially on the 16th of June, and I hope everyone around this table is able to come. Can I pass on to Alan Rice for further points?
Thank you very much, Mayor. Only to add to what you've said that this This plan comes to you after several months of consultation with all committee members and a range of stakeholders from across the region. So previous iterations of it were published for each of the committees of the Combined Authority, and we've received a wide range of comments and some fantastic engagement, both from elected members and from private sector members across all of our committees, and their comments have been reflected in the plan that you see here today. In terms of reporting against the missions, which I'm sure would be a question, and the Mayor has alluded to this.
Sorry.
Yeah, we already over the last couple of years have published a State of the Region document, which sets out the progress the region is making against a range of social, environmental and economic indicators, and the intention is that will be used to report progress against the plan over the coming years. So very happy to take any questions that members may have. Thank you.
Thank you. And we did have a very soft launch of the plan at UK Reef, and it went down really well. The whole of our tent was full of people interested to see all local authority leaders talking together about the vision for 2040. Happy to accept the plan? Any comments? Good stuff, thank you. Okie doke, so moving on now to director roles and appointments. This paper is on new roles and appointments. Can I ask Ben to talk us through this, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. This paper captures, following the delegation that was given at the last Combined Authority in March, it captures and puts on record the decisions that you as committee members have taken during that period of time, and puts therefore the paper brings forward those appointments for endorsement. I don't propose to go through this in detail. I guess the high level points that I would make are twofold. One that this is a time of unprecedented change for the Combined Authority, and we've been talking about the changes to the structure and the culture of the organisation needed to make it fit for purpose and to be able to deliver the policies needed for West Yorkshire over the coming years. So we've been talking about that for a year, and this is the kind of a key milestone with those some of those senior appointments. The second is that's particularly significant in terms of transport, where the conversations and the state of the bus industry, our work on mass transit, has been that we've looked quite comprehensively at the way that we're organised to deliver those develop those transport policies and deliver those transport programmes. So while there are a number of appointments here for endorsement, please don't think that this is the end of the story, and I fully expect that we'll be needing to make further changes as our programmes develop over time. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we're happy to approve those recommendations. Good stuff, thank you. Okay, moving on to bus reform, item 6. As we agreed, this item contains an exempt appendix. We can discuss the content of the public report, but must go into closed session for any discussion in relation to the exempt information, returning back to the public session to consider the recommendations and make our decision. Can I ask members to please therefore limit their comments and questions to the public information at this stage? If members then wish to go into a closed session, I'll ask the press and the public to leave the room and for the webcasting to be paused. So this item is about bus reform. Today is another step in the process of us considering the options that can match our ambitions for a London-style bus network. As we've discussed earlier, the current commercial system has challenges and is increasingly reliant on public funding support. As we discussed at our meeting in March, the Combined Authority has been working on its bus reform assessment over a number of months, and it's now at a stage where we as a Combined Authority can decide if we are content for it to move into the audit phase. This isn't a final decision on bus reform, which we would only come to after the audit and following a full public consultation. That final decision will be taken next March and will be fully informed by the next stage of the process. At this stage, the assessment concludes that franchising is the preferred option for the Combined Authority to progress with subject to both the audit and outcome of the consultation. According to the assessment, both the Enhanced Partnership Plus and franchising would deliver benefits Franchising offers clear strategic benefits and greater opportunity to achieve its objectives for reform. There are, however, additional risks and responsibilities for the Combined Authority if proceeding with franchising, and capital investment would be needed. Under all options, the modelling of the assessment suggests patronage will continue on public funding support. We are continuing to work with operators on what can be achieved through an enhanced partnership model. As well as consider whether to progress toward it on the assessment, it's also asked to approve the supporting funding approval. Can I pass over to Councillor Hinchcliffe as Chair of the Transport Committee for any further comments, and then over to Ben Still, Chief Executive of the Combined Authority.
Thank you, Mayor. So we have ambitious plans for bus in our region set out in our bus service improvement plan, recognising the crucial role bus plays for everyday connectivity, as well as in supporting the region's economic growth, decarbonisation and placemaking. The current bus system is not delivering, with a variety of customer and market challenges demonstrated through both long-term patronage and network mileage decline. Bus reform is required in order to achieve our bus objectives, with the current enhanced partnership not delivering the pace and scale of change required for customers to counteract the challenges the bus system faces across West Yorkshire. For the benefit of bus customers, bus reform options would involve interventions including network enhancements, simpler fares and integrated tickets, streamlined customer service, better aligned bus priority and greener buses to improve the bus passenger experience and address the challenges facing the existing bus system. The assessment demonstrates a contribution to our objectives set out in our local transport plan and bus service improvement plan that bus reform can offer, showing a clear strategic benefit to our region. There is, however, no silver bullet governance mechanism, and the assessment recognises that without further investments, passenger numbers will still decline in line with long-term trends, but that franchising would slow that to the greater extent than other options. Franchising can deliver strategic benefits beyond that of EP+, allowing control and certainty over the bus network and flexibility in network planning. There are also clear customer benefits under franchising through providing a simplified fares and ticketing and customer service offers. It is recognised that franchising brings with it additional risks and the need for capital investment for assets. That is why it is important that we consider carefully the benefits and risks of the different options, and to have these audited and subject to consultation before taking any decision. Thank you.
Thank you, that's very clear. Are there any comments on the appendixes? Because we will have to go to closed session if so. No? Great stuff, then we'll keep it as an open session. Any comments? Councillor Firth, you had your hand up, and Councillor Holdsworth. Councillor Firth, could you use another microphone, please?
Can you hear that one? Lovely. We seem to be having some technical issues today, but we'll get there. Having come through the transport system today and listened to BBC Radio Leeds, to an extent, I have to say that the chair of the authority made it quite clear that the preferred option is to go with franchising. And one thing that we can certainly see throughout the majority of this report is the fact of we have two options. One is preferable and one is largely covered. There is limited look at the EP+ option compared to that of franchising. As a result, is there any chance we can clarify in this meeting the cost for both programmes should either go ahead?
Okay, so this needs to go into a closed session. Thank you. If we could ask the members of the public to leave, please. And Javid, could you join us, please? And if we could go back to live streaming, please. Okay, we're now back into our public session. So on the bus reform assessment, Can we note the conclusions and recommendations included within the assessment and indicatively approve the assessment for audit, delegating finalisation of the assessment to the Chief Executive? Yes? In favour? Thank you. Against? Thank you. And on the bus reform programme, approve the recommendations in relation to the scheme, including the combined authorities funding contribution. In favour? Against? Abstentions? 1. Thank you. Thank you. Moving on from that item to the final part of the meeting. There are minutes for information. Can I thank everybody for their contribution today? I know this was an extraordinary meeting. I'm so grateful that people have taken the time in their busy diaries to join us. Can I just, before we end the meeting, give my thanks to Dave Pearson, who, our Director of Transport Operations and Passenger Experience, this is the last meeting before well-deserved retirement. And can I thank you specifically about the work that you did during the pandemic. I do remember one very febrile day when we were deciding whether masks on buses and in bus stations or not, but you've shown enormous leadership during a very difficult period. So thank you so much, Dave. I wonder if you wanted to say something.
Yes, thank you for those kind words. I mean, it's been a privilege to serve you and to serve the people of West Yorkshire in this job, and it's particularly sort of poignant really to leave at this particular moment of the decision you've just taken. So thank you all for that, and I think I'll leave you in good hands. Thank you.
And James, you'd like to say something?
I just wanted to say I've worked with Dave since I first got elected over 20 years ago, and just to thank you for all your contributions. I think there's a number of bus services with Council Fairfield and number 64 through Barrack and Aberford. I think we spent 20 years in meetings about, and just to wish, and just to just to wish you well in your retirement. And thanks for all the work you've done for everybody in West Yorkshire. I know your commitment to the travelling public has been really strong over that time.
Thank you, Councillor Hinchcliffe.
I've been in denial for some time that it's going, to be quite honest, as Chair of the Transport Committee. I think you are going to be there tomorrow, are you not, Dave? Oh, excellent. That's all right then. Just checking. So we've got Transport Committee tomorrow. The life goes on. We march on, and I'm glad you're going to be there. So thank you very much, Dave, for all you've done. I'm sure there'll be more thank yous tomorrow. But obviously your steady hand on navigating us through the bus services of West Yorkshire has been very valued, and we shall miss you greatly. Thank you.
Thank you, and I think if you want one illustration of how the work is still undone, the Service 64 is it.
On that note, Dave, thank you all so much. And the next meeting is the 22nd of June. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for your contributions.